What is going on, everybody? My name is Jason, and today I'm going to be talking about how to land software engineering internships at tech companies such as Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Amazon, you name it. A little bit of background about me. I'm studying computer science at UCLA, graduating this June in 2020. I've interned at a number of tech companies, including Yelp, LinkedIn, and Facebook this last fall. My journey is a little different than other people, where I didn't get my first tech internship until my fourth year of college. It was my fourth year. Most people get internships their second or third year. The summer of your third year is your big summer where you get your internship, you can convert it to full-time. So my point is, I didn't get my first internship a lot later in my college career than other people. So this video, I made it because I want to help those in their third or fourth year know that you still can do it, still have a chance, it's not too late. And those just starting out, I want to help you avoid some of the big mistakes I made, give you the resources that I wish I had when I was starting my college journey to help you succeed and to pay it forward to those trying to get those internships. So let's get into it. So a quick outline of what the video is going to entail. I'm just going to break it up into two parts. Part one is how to get an interview. So this I'm going to talk about building out your portfolio, whether that be projects, resume, LinkedIn, personal website, and then also where to apply, such as online, career fairs, career events, etc. Part two of the video is going to talk about once you get that interview, how to ace it and ultimately come away with that internship offer. So with this, I'll talk about important resources that help me in my interview process, as well as talk about preparing and getting ready for that interview. Okay. Alrighty, projects. Projects are the best thing to include on your resume if you don't have that internship experience. This gives you something to talk about with recruiters at career fairs and include on your resume to showcase your passion for software engineering and your coding ability, as well as what technologies you know and use. This can be as simple as projects you've done in your college coursework. For example, in one of the first classes I'd taken, data structures and algorithms, there was a project to recreate a 2D arcade game, so this is a project I included. In terms of personal projects, I recommend doing something with mobile or web applications. Why, you may ask? Well, the reason being is that it doesn't just give you something to talk about, but you can actually showcase it. There's a visual representation of the mobile app or the web app that you built. And there are tons of tutorials online in terms of building web apps or building mobile apps, so just look around. And this leads to my next point, having a personal website. Now this serves two purposes. The first is it serves as another project, a web development project that showcases your web development skills. Purpose number two is that it serves as an extended resume, builds out your portfolio. You can put whatever you want on it, projects you've worked on like I was just talking about, coursework you've taken. It's just as another place to showcase your abilities. Okay, so that brings me to my next point, having your first internship already under your belt. Now you may be wondering, why are you telling me this when I'm trying to get my first internship? Well, the point being is it's very hard to get an internship with a company and industry as they're looking for students with already have a prior internship experience. Well, my point is that look for opportunities around your school. For example, my first internship before I got ones with tech companies was with Elfin, UCLA's first satellite mission. With this, I got to work as a software engineer writing real-life flight mission code that's on a satellite currently in orbit around Earth. So working at Elfin was great work experience for me, and it really opened the doors for all future opportunities. With this under my belt, companies were interested in talking with me. I had a great talking point to talk about with recruiters and to discuss with software engineers in the technical interviews. Now, you don't have to work on a project like a satellite mission if you don't have that at your school. It could be something like radio club, or if you have any CS clubs that maybe have internship opportunities. The point is having some type of work experience related to CS under your belt. I think LinkedIn is another great way to showcase your skills, and it also serves as another extended resume. Here you can put internship experience, work experience, projects you've worked on, connect with other students, connect with recruiters, and then you could apply to jobs directly on LinkedIn. Okay, I quickly want to touch base on what CS courses I think you should take early on in your college career. Two main ones, data structures and algorithms. This really builds a solid foundation for everything you need to know going into your tech interview. The sooner you take these courses, the better, trust me. The last thing I want to talk about in terms of your portfolio is GPA. Now for a lot of majors, GPA is the most important thing, but for CS, it is not the most important thing. I know people who've gotten 3.3, 3.4 GPAs and gotten into Microsoft, Facebook's, these companies. Now you don't want a 2.0 or a 2.5. I'm not telling you to sacrifice GPA, but my point is if you have GPA and you don't have the projects, the internship experience, you're not networking with people, going to these career fairs, then it's useless. You want to maintain a balance between GPA, projects, internships, etc. that will serve you best. A lot of you are probably wondering how many internships that you should be applying to. You should apply to as many internships as possible. Companies talk to tens of thousands of students at career fairs and then that apply online. So the chances that you get selected to get an interview are very, very slim. For me, my first couple years, I applied to over 100 internships, and I heard back from maybe 5 or 6 each of those years. Once you are able to get your internships at tech companies, then you can start applying to less, but early on, apply to as many as possible. In terms of where to apply, you should apply on LinkedIn Jobs and Google Search. These are the two best places to look for internships. So for example, typing in like software engineering internship 2020 in LinkedIn Jobs or Google Search will yield tons and tons of results of all these tech companies posting their jobs. Computer science conferences. Now this is something that is severely underlooked and not talked about enough in other YouTube videos about how to get internships. So what are these? These are basically your college career fairs, but on a much larger scale. All the big tech companies go to them: Google, Facebook, Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, as well as startups like Robinhood, Convoy, fintechs, 2 Sigma, Citadel, etc. They're all there. The two biggest ones that I recommend you look at, and I'll leave a link in the description, are the Grace Hopper Conference and the ACM Tapia Conference. It is one of the greatest investments that you can make in yourself, and I highly, highly recommend it. The reason being is that by going to these conferences, you can immediately walk away with an internship or even a full-time offer. For example, Bloomberg does their full set of interviews directly at the conference. I was able to get to my LinkedIn offer, as I mentioned, by going to the Tapia Conference, as well as interviewing directly at the conference with companies like 2 Sigma, Goldman Sachs, Adobe, and Lyft. And I got to the on-site round with 2 Sigma and Lyft, but I ended up canceling those as I got my other LinkedIn and Facebook offers. But the point being is that you can interview with companies directly there, get more offers, and going to these conferences, there's so many companies there that, trust me, you will wait maybe 15 to 20 minutes in line talking to companies like Google or Facebook that would take you hours to get at your college conference. So more opportunities to apply. So even though I mentioned that college career fairs and career events can be hectic and you might not be able to talk to as many companies as you want, it's still a great opportunity to talk with recruiters and give them your resumes, and it gives you another chance to get internship opportunities. So I recommend you go to those as well. I have 2 pieces of advice for those of you going to these college career fairs or these computer science conferences. 1, have a meaningful conversation with the recruiter or maybe the software engineer that you're talking to at their booth. The reason being is you don't want to just hand them your resume and walk away. You want to try to stand out from the crowd. Build a meaningful conversation, ask them about interesting projects that they're working on, what kind of internship opportunities they have. You want to be able to talk about something that leads to part 2. And 2 is asking for that recruiter or software engineer's email and following up with them within 24 hours. This is very important. They talk to tens of thousands of students, collect tens of thousands of resumes, and the chances that you're going to get to that interview are very slim. So if you follow up with them, and very few people follow up with them, if you follow up and say, hey, I liked the conversation we had talking about such and such. Here's my resume again. I'm really excited about internships and looking forward to opportunities. This gives you a leg up in the competition and really gives you a chance to stand out. Last but not least, networking and referrals. Networking is probably the most important thing you can do to help you get your interviews and get your internship offers. Network, network, network. A very common saying, and it is very true. It is not what you know, it's who you know. So you can know a great deal, but if you isolate yourself and you don't network with other students, or you don't talk to recruiters or even professors, you're really limiting yourself and the chances you can get. A lot of internships come from referrals, and companies such as Facebook, for example, just applying online, you can't even get an interview. You need someone at the company, whether interning there currently or working there full-time, to refer you. By getting a referral, you get a leg up in the competition from someone who works at the company, is in good standing, and can vouch for you and say, this guy has great skills, he can do well in this position. Therefore, referrals are your best chance to get to the interview stage and get that internship offer. So network, network, network. Okay, so hopefully with the advice I gave you in part 1, now you're able to get the interview. Now how to ace it and come away with that offer. The first thing I want to talk about are resources that I found helpful in my interview process that helped me be successful. Now there are tons of resources online or books that you can have, but I'm going to recommend 2 that I think are the most helpful. The first is the Cracking the Coding Interview book. Now this book is a great resource where it talks about important data structures, algorithms, works through examples, really helps you cultivate the mindset to approaching a problem. But I do think there are many other resources that are better out there. And this leads me to number 2, the biggest resource that I use, in fact, the only resource that I use when applying for interviews, and it has helped me be largely successful: LeetCode. There are tons of resources online, such as Geeks for Geeks, but personally, I think LeetCode is the best website for preparing for interviews. It has thousands of questions, tags them by data structures or algorithms, which companies may have asked them in the past, and you have to pay $160 for a yearly subscription. But believe me, this is the best investment you can make in yourself. After I found out about LeetCode, I've yet to fail another technical interview. The reason I'm saying this is because I want to give you the best advice so that you hopefully don't fail interviews. So with LeetCode, I was able to get offers from Yelp, LinkedIn, Facebook, as well as past interviews like I mentioned at Two Sigmas, Lyft, Uber, Amazon, Goldman Sachs, Adobe. It's been the best thing that happened to me in terms of my software engineering career. Best resource I can give to you. Now I recommend doing the top 100 most liked questions on LeetCode. And this might seem like a lot, but trust me, it's the best thing you can do for yourself to build that mindset. So when you see a question, you're quickly able to reason, I should be using this algorithm, or I should be using this data structure as it's the most efficient for this problem. In a technical interview, you're often asked 2 questions in a 45-minute time period. So you have very limited time to really think about how to approach the problem, because you have to spend most of the time coding it and talking them through it. In addition, in an interview, you may have seen a question that you've seen on LeetCode, and more importantly, you see questions that are similar or maybe you've never seen before, but you've done so many questions, you have so much practice and experience that you're able to use that knowledge and apply it to questions you see in interviews. Now, if you want to be good at anything in life, whether that be at sports, becoming a doctor, or passing these technical interviews, it comes with countless hours of practice and hard work. Putting those hours in the lab will get you there. For most of us, including myself, you need to put in all those hours to get better at and build your craft. I put in hundreds of hours in LeetCode and doing technical interview questions so that I could be as best prepared as possible. And I'm not saying that you need to put in hundreds of hours or that's the threshold to get these internship offers. That's just the amount of time that I put in. You may be able to put in less hours and achieve the same results. My point is, hard work does pay off. Okay, so those are the important resources that I think would suit you best in your interview process and help me out. Now I'm just going to briefly give a high-level overview of important data structures and algorithms I think that you should know. I'll go into more depth in future videos about the technical side of things, but this is just to give a high-level overview. So I'm going to give a quick list of important data structures I think you should know and practice so that you're able to apply it in interview questions. Arrays, linked lists, stacks and queues, hash tables, binary search trees, tries, heaps. And some important algorithms that you should be very comfortable with include depth first search, breadth first search, different types of sorts, binary search, recursion, dynamic programming, etc. The next thing I want to talk about is the big O, or runtime complexity. So in any technical interview, you'll be asked to code up a question and then you'll be asked, what's the runtime complexity? Now this is very important because obviously if you give a logarithmic solution or a constant time solution, this is far better and more optimal than if you give like a brute force or n-squared solution. You should be familiar with the runtimes of different sorting algorithms that you may use, or if you're using loops or any recursion, as this in combination with operations on data structures and the types of operations you do in your solution will determine the runtime complexity. Sometimes interviewers won't accept the brute force or maybe even the linear solution, as they know, and it's very common that there might be some constant time or logarithmic solution. So be familiar with big O. And the last thing I want to talk about in terms of the interview are follow-up emails. Now this is very old-fashioned and a lot of people don't do it, but it's just something that I've always done. I'll send a thank you email to the recruiter or maybe even the software engineer that interviewed me and say, hey, thanks for taking the time out of your day to interview me, or thank you for working with me throughout this interview process. On top of that, I think sending these follow-up emails helps build your case for team fit. Trust me, people do not want to work with people that are difficult to work with. Someone could be the most knowledgeable person, but if they're a tool and they're hard to work with, they're going to pick someone else who has a little bit less knowledge, but is a pleasure to work with and collaborate with. In industry, you're collaborating with people all the time, whether that be daily stand-ups or code sprints or working with projects or cross teams. So the team fit goes a long way. Now, I'm not saying you send up this follow-up email and now you're just a team fit, but I'm saying it helps build your case for being such. So hopefully with the knowledge I just imparted with you, you're able to get the interview by building out your portfolio, projects, your resume, a personal website, that first internship, and then also knowing where to apply and how many companies to apply to, going to computer science conferences, career fairs, and networking. Network, network, network. And once you get that interview, you're able to make the most of it by acing it and coming away with that internship offer. So leak code is something that I swear by, knowing those important data structures, algorithms, the big O or runtime complexity of operations on these data structures or algorithms that you use, and then sending some follow-up emails. I really do hope that you're able to pass all your technical interviews and get tons of internship offers and get them a lot sooner in your college career than I was. Hopefully you avoid the mistakes that I made and you're able to make use of all those resources that I provided. Now, I was able to get my interview opportunities largely in part to other people who I met along the way, so that comes back to networking, who provided me with those resources to use, going to these conferences, giving me a referral at Facebook. So my whole point of making this video is to pay it forward and help you guys get your internships and be successful. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like and subscribe and turn on notifications, as I'll be making a lot of similar content in the future. If you didn't like something or you have a question about something I talked about or want me to go in more depth, feel free to send me an email or leave a comment in the comment section below. Thanks, see ya.